What should the chemical levels be in your swimming pool? That's a common question for new pool owners who are just trying to learn about pool chemistry for the first time. And they're asking, like, what do I need to know here? And the first thing that you need to know is that you're going to need chlorine in the water. Chlorine is the sanitizer that keeps your water clean and keeps it safe. And the number that you need needs to be in a range. It needs to be in the range of 1 to 5 parts per million of free chlorine. That's very specifically important that it's free chlorine and not total chlorine, because total chlorine would also include the amount of combined chlorine in your pool. Already you're shaking your head. This is getting confusing. Free chlorine. Free chlorine is available to do its job and disinfect your pool water. Combined chlorine has combined with something like, let's say, organic debris or bacteria or something like that in your water. And total chlorine is both the combined and the free put together. So what you need to remember is that your chlorine level or your free chlorine level needs to be in between 1 to 5 parts per million. And typically speaking, what I would like to recommend to pool owners is aim for 2 to 4 parts per million. And what's significant about that is if you aim to have the minimum value, 1 part per million of free chlorine in your pool, if you had a heavy rainfall or a big party with lots of swimmers, you're going to use up that free chlorine level right away. And having a little bit more of a reserve built up in the range of 2 to 4 parts per million of free chlorine will serve you well, such that you don't ever deplete your chlorine reserve completely and fall to zero. The point at which you fall to zero free chlorine in your water, immediately you have bacteria growth and organic matter growth like algae happening in your water. And so that's why we maintain sanitizer levels, and that's why you should have them at 2 to 4 parts per million optimally of free chlorine. Now, the next thing that we talk about relates more to bather comfort as opposed to the sanitizer that keeps it safe. The pH and the total alkalinity of your water are two things that you will measure and test for regularly, things that you will have to adjust to keep your water both comfortable for you to be in, but also in a range such that your chlorine that we talked about earlier is able to do its job. Now, what does that mean? How does that work? If the pH in your water were to get too high, for example, your chlorine will not be able to do its job. Above the pH of around 8.0 and certainly above 8.2, chlorine is largely ineffective. You could still test for it in the water and you can measure it's still there, 2 to 4 parts per million, just like we talked about, but it's not able to kill bacteria. It's not able to stop that organic matter growth in the water. And that's why these other parameters are important. But in addition to allowing the chlorine to function, it's also important for bather comfort. You want the pH of your water to be in the range of 7.2 to 7.8. That's the range that we work with. Ideally, optimally, you want to aim for a range of 7.4 to 7.6. That's the pH range that you typically want to be in, and most people are most comfortable with, and it leaves you a little bit of room for variation on both ends of the neutral spectrum, such that your pH could go up or down a small amount while still remaining within the ideal range of 7.2 to 7.8 overall. The next consideration is total alkalinity, and you want to have between 60 parts per million and 180 parts per million in your water. And I suppose, optimally speaking, you would come in around 100 parts per million. Now, this gets a little bit more complicated because there's certain unique considerations that start to come into effect. Like, is this a pool that has salt water, or is this a traditional chlorine pool? Because maybe you want to keep your alkalinity numbers at just a slightly different number with one versus the other. And this is certainly something that advanced swimming pool operators would weigh in on. They will have preferences as how they like to care for their pool, or their pools. But for you, the average pool owner, that's a little bit advanced for you at this stage. And really, if you could just aim to have your total alkalinity somewhere in that range of 100 parts per million, you're doing pretty well. And what is that total alkalinity doing? Why do I need this at all? What it does is we already talked about the pH. We know that you need to have it in a certain range so the water's nice and comfortable for you. The problem is that pH just jumps around all over the place. Every time it rains, the pH changes. Every time you add chemicals, the pH changes. So the total alkalinity in the water, and establishing a total alkalinity level of around 100 parts per million ideally, will help to buffer the movement of the pH of the water. So that kind of helps you such that you'll be able to dial in the pH where you wanted. And then with the alkalinity level already being in the right range, the pH is not going to be as inclined to fluctuate. So it does add a little bit of stability to the pH measurement of the water, such that you're not constantly chasing your tail around trying to get your pool pH neutral. And I guess the last thing that I would like to talk about for new pool owners is calcium hardness. This is not something that you interact with on a daily basis like chlorine or acid treatment for your pH or your total alkalinity. Calcium hardness is something that you more or less add to the water one time, and unless you are adding it by using like a form of chlorine like cal hypo, which adds calcium to the water, then your levels more or less won't change. Now, the level of calcium hardness that you need in your exact swimming pool, again, this is one of those things that has unique considerations. What kind of swimming pool do you have? A vinyl liner swimming pool or a fiberglass swimming pool might require a different calcium hardness level than what you would optimally use for a concrete swimming pool, for example. So it's hard to give definitive numbers for something like this, but as a first-time pool owner just learning this, what I would want you to aim for optimally is to have a calcium hardness level between 200 and 400 parts per million. So again, there's a lot to learn here with swimming pool chemistry when you're just getting started, but those are the basic ones. Those are the important ones that you need to spend time. You need to invest time educating yourself on these specific values and how you're going to be interacting with them, because when you have a problem with your pool, the water doesn't look good, you're searching for advice, these numbers that I've referenced, the answer that you're looking for is somewhere in one of these numbers. And when you go looking for advice, the first thing you're going to hear is, well, what are your water tests? Well, how does that look? And you're going to say, oh, it looks good. Everything looks good. The water test never looks good. Give the numerical values as indicated in this video, and you're going to find very quickly that something is wrong numerically in your water, and you can see it just as simple as that. And if you make an adjustment to that specific number, your water is probably going to clear up. And that's how all those swimming pool magicians out there work. They don't just look at the water and eyeball and they tell you it's good. They know these numerical values and they adjust the chemistry to be within them. If you found this information helpful, please be sure to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you can check out my website, swimmingpoolsteve.com.